Morning, folks. We're going to continue working on artwork for the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration supplement that we've been building here. Give me a second to check my signal. I'll go through my intro spiel and then we'll get to work. Yeah, sounds good. Excellent. All right, so let's do intro spiel. Hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing game supplements. I publish them online. I've been focusing my attention on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. There is a slew of links in the description down below to previous works that I've published on DMsGuild.com. You can check out the previews and all the artwork that are in the books in those descriptions. If you want to follow the channel, you can do so by following me on Twitter at Phil Kearney, F-I-L-K-E-A-R-N-E-Y. Or the best help the channel, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for me to gain more additional subscribers, and comment and like so that the algorithms know that you think this stuff is cool. Otherwise, you can follow me on Patreon. We'll have playtest content and sharing stuff in the future as I figure out what to do with the Patreon. But if you just want to support me, it's $1. Otherwise, yeah, thanks for being here. Really appreciate you. This is a cover that we created back around episode 15. So you can check the Spelljammer playlist to see the creation of the cover. But right now we're working on spellcasting, continuing our work on spellcasting. So when we last left off, we had not yet colorized the lamprey and arrow craft. The arrow is now completed and in its little air bubble. And we are now in the process of finishing the lamprey, and it is sitting comfortably in its own little air bubble. Let me take the sheen and base bubble and just shift that a little bit. Center things up around. Perfect. Cool. All right, so that's in place. Let's see, where do we leave off? Last night we built out the mounted harpoon flingers there, and there. If we go down here to take a look, I need to change the token to push forward. I need to switch these. So these are back here. That there's the hole, the manhole that goes under deck here, and then push this to here. But otherwise, it's pretty good. But I do need to make those. I do want to make those corrections because they sound like great ideas, considering how I have this laid out. But anyway, regardless, so it's still fine. I mean, you can put your guns and stuff wherever you want. It's really up to you. But I'm going to make sure that the token reflects the reality of it. Here is the catapult that we built, and back here is again the harpoon flingers that we made. I had decided that it would be a good idea to put a stripe back here. I still need to do a little bit of cleanup. Like that. Here. Cleanup's a bitch. Where are we at in here? There we go. There we go. Very good, very good, very good. Very, 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 very good. Didn't have enough of it. Cool. If I put this extra stripe down, I can create a back, a contrast for this this mounted weapon that I have sitting here, so it'll stand out against the hull of the ship more. From painting stripes into the hull of the ship. Do I want to fold this in like this? Yeah, I really don't. All right, I want to keep it away from there. I don't need. I don't need to do that. So I'm gonna keep that at bay. Don't need to do that. There. Okay. I'm happy with that. We can stitch back the frame shut. I should probably do some, I'll do some lighting, like highlights and shadow and stuff once I finish up the turrets. But that should be fairly easy to do. And then we'll put a star backdrop, and then we'll mask out the bubble that's into the text, and potentially mask it out down here as well. I've been thinking about doing this ribbon, this navigation bar along the bottom, and that's gonna be the first instance of me clipping an image. Like this ship fits fine in this space, but when you add the air bubble, and I'm adding air bubbles, it's if they're in space, they have air bubbles. It's just all there is to it. So air envelopes, what a weird word to use, but yes. In wild space in the astral, these ships have their own envelopes, so I need to represent that. This is part of the aesthetic, and this is the first instance of that aesthetic getting in the way of asset positioning. So, conflict, fun conflict. We'll figure it out. Get that out of the way. Turret. So let's. Oh, come on, man. everything's properly portioned here, so the sizing is right. Each one of these planks of wood is representing 2.5 feet. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5, 10. That's a 10 by 10 turret. That's what it's supposed to be. That's a 1, 2. That's a 5-foot hatch down below. This is occupying roughly a 5-foot space as well. 1, 2, 3, 4 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So these turrets are all properly sized with each other. So our proportions are good. Like I'm proud of this. It's turned out well. As far as draftsman work goes, this is probably as good as I'm going to get. So I am content with that. Now we can start filling in. Let's use this gunmetal gray for now. This big post here, and there's another one on the other side, allows you to grab and then rotate to push this thing in a circle. The turret's set into the deck here, so you can actually walk about and reposition the turret by just rotating it. And then you've got these hand cranks to pull back the chain, and then there's a catch to be able to pull this forward to be able to lift up the back end of it. So the physics on this are okay. It's not a bad. I mean, like mechanically, it's legit enough. I've covered the bases, so just casually looking at it, it's going to be good to go. And this is something I'm getting familiar with, so I'll be able to replicate this up in the weapons section when we take a closer look at it. And we might as well finish this first one, just to get a W on the board, right? There you go. Crossbow turret. Or ballista. Super easy, barely an inconvenience. That's so not true. Turret, man, ballistas and catapults are difficult objects to create. And if you're hiring somebody to create siege weaponry for you and ships and stuff, this demonstration here of creating this and the other previous works should be plenty of evidence for you that you should be paying your artists well if you can afford artists. Which is unfortunately why so many people turn to AI, because this shit is expensive and time consuming to produce. Ain't no one got time for that. There. That's a good turret. Oops. There we go. Now we can put in some mild highlights. You don't need the ground turret. It just makes it easier. You could just have this. I mean, it's just a stationary prop, so it's hardly an issue. Yeah, it should be like that. There. That works much better. Not bad. Not bad at all. The only thing missing is the drawstring. So let's take a moment here. There, subtle. Nice. That is yeah, I'm happy with that. That's a cool turret. Stitch that shut. Let's move on to the next guy. So this one, I framed this one off of the architecture here and here. So I should be able to duplicate this. Knock on wood. Hey, I didn't set a timer, so it's 6:29 now. I still have about 80 minutes of play left. So we got a timer going here. I'm gonna take a sip of coffee here. Contemplate my next move. Let's see. How do I want to do? Maybe, all right, I'm stalling. No more stalling. Only Leningrad. Obviously, we'll conceal some of this when it's done. One, two, three, four. Good. Make sure I get that perspective good. If you're lurking, hey. Or you're catching this after it's live and you're seeing the replay. I'm glad you spent some time to swing through and check out what we got going on here. I'm here 6 days a week for 9 sessions. Or how do I word that? I'm here 9 times a week over the course of 6 days. I'm here Monday through Friday like this, creating Spelljammer art. In the mornings, on Saturday morning, I do commission work. I'm currently working on a Bob Ross landscape as part of a book cover for Joseph Vargas, also known as Ukulele Bard, for those that know him on the DMsGuild or in the Pathfinder Infinite scene. His new role-playing game that he's developing called Reclamant is essentially about nature fighting back against the Industrial Revolution spurred by man. So that's really cool. And then on Tuesday afternoons during my lunchtime, I build the I develop the Martial Powers project, so you can see me building text that will eventually be converted into a PDF like this that will be arted and then published once completed. So you can check that out. It's basically an alternate magic system for martial characters to have the same sort of variety and resources that casters in 5th edition do. Everyone knows that spellcasting is basically a list of feats that you get to choose either every day, or you get to prepare basically a stack of feats that are way OP for feats. So if you consider spells to be feats that you can select ad hoc, then we can start having a decent frame of reference for how marshals could have various sort of resource-based feats to perform different social exploration and combat maneuvers, options, however you want to express them. Think of the Complete Scoundrel from the 3rd edition, plus the Book of Nine Swords from 3rd edition, or think about exploits and powers from 4th edition for both martial characters and roguelike characters. So that's the design space that we're working inside of. It looks pretty good. Walking posts here. And then on Monday and Thursday nights is cartography for the Epron adventure. So if you catch my stream from last night, you'll see me creating rooftops and basically like room filler knickknacks and stuff for the village map that we've been drawing that the players can use as a base of operation during that adventure. So got a lot going on, always do. When one book gets finished, we add another book, and then we shift around what project we work on at what different times. Like the Eberron project will move forward to Monday through Friday in the morning like this. Once we're done with the Spelljammer book, the Eberron book moves forward in production cycle, so that becomes my Monday through Friday project. The Martial Powers project will become my Monday Thursday night project. I'll probably work on Spell Point Sorcerers on Tuesdays. And then once the Reclamant commission is finished, then I have Andy Headley, who is the co-writer for the Eberron adventure. I guess he's commissioning me to do a book cover for a horror adventure that he's been producing. So we'll see what the specs on that are and what we need to do, and we'll start building that on Saturdays once Reclamant is done. And we're expecting Reclamant to be done not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. The due date on it is August 1st. So if we don't finish it by next Saturday, we'll switch gears on Monday night, and instead of Eberron, we'll finish Reclamant, so we can hit our deadline of August. That'll be July 31st, so we'll hit our deadline of August 1st on Tuesday, and then we can get our art brief. If the art brief isn't ready to go on Saturday, we'll just make that a grab bag day and just do, I guess, just something random. Figure out what it is. Kind of want to do this. Haste and then free transform. Flip. I just want some flip horizontal. I just want symmetry here. So I'm gonna drop this into position here. Cool. That was that was surprisingly easy, actually. God bless. Let's hope my luck holds out. That's what I'm trying to say. Second verse, same as the first. Fill this in. Just gonna fill it in right proper, and then we can mask out the bits. This is already looking fantastic. Here and here and here and here and here. Maximum effort. Good enough. That's not bad. Stitch that shut. Last one to go. Let's make sure our line work here is good. Let's go like that. And then here, let's drop the opacity on that a bit. And then bump, bump, bump. Good.
Nice circle, Kearney. Why don't you work on something else? Come on, man. Kind of like that. Not quite. Like the architecture here is like almost, but it's not thoroughly thought out, so it's still a sketch. I mean, when you just look at it casually, it looks pretty cool, but when you start looking closer at it, it breaks down. Kind of like AI art. As long as you don't pay attention to it, it's really cool. Nice, okay. Let's take a second here. Have a sip of coffee. Celebrate where we're at. We're at right here. Big gearbox drum effect going on here. Let's add another layer for us to put the shaft on. sure we keep everything in alignment here. Alignment. Like that. Straight lines, Kearney. That. Here. Good. Good. This is working out. This is working out. Architecture and engineering work has never been so easy for me. What a blessing. I had I legit didn't know I'd be able to produce this. So I am over the moon. Pardon the pun. Spelljammer moons! there. Good. Very good. Very good. Very good. Very good. Very, 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 very good. Oh, doesn't look good. Let's do like this to see if we can build out a good arc here. And then take to here. Yeah, more like that. There. There, and there we go. The size is a bit of an issue. We're already down to 2 pixels, so... Tiny turrets. Good. And whoop, whoop, get rid of that. Trash. Hit the save button. What? Program error. That kind of sucked, but oh, at least it resolved. All right. We'll do this the same way as we did everything else. We'll add in our guiding posts in a minute. There we go. Something like that. Mm-hmm. Easy to do. It is madness. So good. Oops. That. Shuttle in there. Nice. We built a we built another ballista. So far so good, man. I need the guiding posts. So let's
Nice. We built some turrets, sons. Not bad. Not bad at all. Let's see. Next thing we need is lighting. So the siege weapons are done. Now we need lighting on the ship itself. We'll call this interior deck. How are we doing? It's only 7. Oh my god. Okay. Don't get too excited, Kearney. You still have work to do. You're not done yet, son. Not earned my dopamine yet. Although I will say that every time I have like one of these little victories that I celebrate, it's that is a shock of dopamine. It's the actual process of completing a line that gives me a chemical howdy do, and so there's these little victories over and over again that I have that causes the cascade of chemicals, the victory chemicals inside of my brain to surge into my heart, and that is one of the things that motivates you to stay active in an illustration while you're producing. As long as you keep racking up W's on like line curves or color blocking or perspective or shading. Whenever you do something that pushes, like each one of these turrets was a victory condition for me, because every one of them is, I didn't know if I'd even be able to do any of these, and apparently I can. So like all these siege weapons were a huge boost to my morale, which is again the chemical dopamine, serotonin. The do that again chemicals that cascade, like that you addict yourself to. Those chemicals are there to get you addicted to a behavior that you that helps you succeed, and it's supposed to be a survival mechanism of, you know, I killed that animal with my bare hands. I have a level of pride to be able to feed myself and those I care about. But artists get that kick from being able to, you know, create things properly. So, again, when we were talking yesterday about like artists doing these like speed, like 20 times speed up art demonstrations, that the audience that aspire to become audiences to become better artists themselves don't get to witness and learn is that effort and reward. They're just passively watching something just be like you'll often see someone say, wow, that just like got produced from nothing. It's like it wasn't nothing. It was me having to
draw and then redraw and then block in and shade properly, but it's going by so quick you can't see any mistakes that are being made. It's just a blur of motion, and then it just kind of like manifests out of nothing as the artist moves around a piece at 20 times its normal speed. So like if I sped up this footage 20 times, then it would have taken about like 90 seconds for me to create all 3 of these turrets, right? It's like you're not learning anything from that process. You're not seeing the blocking effect. It's too much. Like you aren't learning where my rewards are at. You aren't feeling the experience of me being rewarded for, like me self-recognizing and self-rewarding myself for the victories that I have in this process, which is like arguably one of the most important parts. The audience needs, the aspiring artist needs to see where am I gaining victories from, how am I gaining victories, what is somebody that I aspire to, what are they celebrating in their work for themselves. Maybe even more importantly, like how do they deal, how do they express victory for themselves, or how are they showing us appropriate behavior from a more professional artist than myself? If I'm watching another artist creating art, where am I seeing them praising themselves? How do they deal with that praise? Do they take a 20-minute break to take a victory lap, or is it just there's my hit of dopamine and that's going to motivate me to push further? Like these are things that I think aspiring artists need to witness, because they don't know how to calibrate their own chemistry to be able to not be slowed down. Like in sales, for instance, sometimes you'll get a big, like salespeople, we'll refer to them as us, get a big sale, and that big sale was a goal, but what is the next step? Do you take a victory lap? Do you take the rest of the day off? Does that motivate you to make 20 more phone calls because another success like that could be around the corner? How does success mold your next steps? If you're addicted to the dopamine rush and you're more addicted to the results than the effort, then you're going to take that coffee break, that victory lap, that early day off because you did a good job, and you're actually rewarding not the task but the result. So that leads you to becoming dissatisfied in the future, because you aren't going to properly be able to endure creating more results like that, because every time you get a positive result you stop. And so you have to learn to calibrate your body and your expectations to be able to have those things work together so you can keep moving forward. So speaking of moving forward, I want to do some cast shadow. Did I say the word cast shadow out loud, or did I just think that? This too is part of the dream. Body is responding to the realization that my expectations and thoughts are merely ideas inside of my brains. Good line.
Okay, so let's see. Base. Base!
How low can you
go? Do I want to? I could do something simple. Just a two-tone super bass.
Super bass.
This.
I feel kind of like a two-tone, like anime cell shading style might be appropriate for this. I don't do a lot of cell shading. I do a lot of smudge and like gradients like that. Typically how I do. But I am open to exploring ideas. So let's explore ideas. Don't dislike this result. Fade that out. Hi! How are you? I don't know what dry means. Maybe we don't speak the same language. But I appreciate you swinging by regardless. This is page art for... Let's conceal my reference images. There you go. It's page art we're developing for the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration book that we're building. I don't know if you've swum by and seen this stuff before. Here's a book cover we have. Boop. And it's a 108-page document that we're going to publish on DMsGuild.com. It's alternate rules for fantasy pirate ships in space. They call it Spelljammer in Dungeons and Dragons. It was originally a campaign world or a setting that came out in, I think it was 1992. And it was adapted last year to the current version of D&D, and it didn't have enough mechanical and physics, like space physics and mechanical depth, to be comparable or satisfying in comparison to what had been produced back in '92. So this is taking the mechanics, like how 5th edition dice work, like how do you play the game in 5th edition now, and creating a bunch of exploration and combat mechanics for spaceships to be able to explore and have combat as part of your adventuring day. It's got some pretty unique physics involved with it, and different mechanics I haven't seen in any other role-playing game. So it feels pretty innovative and original unto itself. And we've spent a lot of time talking about the mechanics on the page in the previous episodes. What happens is we build the document, we then send it off, we create the rules, we play test it to make sure that it works well and that it's fun. And once we get to that point and we're happy with the language of express, like the rules, like we're happy with how the rules read and hopefully makes the most sense possible, we then send it off to our editor. The editor then cleans up the language, helps with the grammar, formatting, and making sure that it is proper. And once that comes back from our editor, we do page layouts by organizing the text on the page. I use Microsoft Word to do that. And once we have all the text arranged on the page and have all the charts built out, we then extract each page as a PDF document, and we drop it here in Photoshop, and then we start painting on the page. Like the text layer here is a separate, it's its own entity. Like this is a blank, like a transparent background on the page in Word, and then all the text was laid out, and then again we extract each individual page. Like this is page 47. Like here's page 51. Here's page 50. So like here's one of the pieces of art that we created. If you follow me on Twitter at Phil Kearney, which is in the description down below, you'll see some of this artwork that I've been publishing online. Or if you know where I'm at on Discord, you can hang out and shout at me there. But once the current piece is done, this will be the next piece that we finish. So you can see here from a map's perspective, you can see that this the spider ship is crawling onto the deck of this galleon to attack it. And if we're going to illustrate that, then that's how this would appear. But then we'll be able to add in our star field in the background. And these ships have their own little air bubbles that they carry out of atmosphere with them. And it helps from a game mechanics perspective. These air bubbles help define the space that each ship is occupying. You can see like this guy got knocked off board of his little flying vessel here, so he's starting to create his own little his own bubble as he falls out of the space of this bubble. So whoop, he'll eventually free float away and have his own little bubble surrounding him, just like this air bubble surrounds this ship, and this air bubble surrounds this ship, and you can see these guys here are lighting flame to the ballistas that they're firing that come across from here, hit the ship, catch it on fire. Now these guys, if they survive this experience, now they have to deal with the fire that's on the ship here, and they got scuttled, so they got knocked off of their deck. So these guys are in bad shape right now. This wasp ship's really kicking the crap out of these guys. So, and here we have beholders on a tyrant ship that's attacking a different type of galleon here.
So I'm really picking on galleons a lot in this chapter. But once we finish this and the rhino beetle there, once these two pieces are finished, the spellcasting chapter will be done. And then we'll go grab another chapter and we'll do all the illustrations for that chapter, and we just keep doing that. And it's 108 pages total. So once it's all done, then we publish it online. There's a slew of books that I've already published in the description down below on DMsGuild for different types of Dungeons and Dragons mechanics, like color mana for Magic the Gathering enthusiasts who created a color magic system that you can use. Color mana, like if you want to be a Rakdos Warlock, then you can have red and black mana for your patronage with Rakdos, like Demon Rakdos, stuff like that. If you're familiar with MTG, this is cool stuff. If you aren't familiar with MTG, it's probably not very important. So no hate, regardless of where you're coming in at. There's plenty of geek culture here to satisfy you. Where's this one at? 42. Let's take this one down to 42 as well. I have a 20-minute timer that rocks over so that I don't get too bound up in insignificant details, just to make sure I'm checking my head every 20 minutes to see where I'm at and what I want to keep working on. So it's just a way for me to control my flow. But I do this, I'm online 6 days a week at 9 different times, twice on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and then Monday through Saturday in the morning, and then I take Sunday off. Spend time with my family. The loved ones. My beloved. How you doing, my guy? Why is that? What is? Oh, right, because I dropped the... Let's drop down to... that. Let's fix our face. Cha-da-cha-da-cha-da-cha. Here. There. This is coming along pretty nicely.
Yeah, I don't think I probably actually need much more than that. So let's do like that. Be here. Maybe we'll drop this down to 30. Put some highlights in over here. And this should be the final touches that we need to make this look okay. We can move on to the background and the rest of the piece. Yeah, like that. And that's already basically rimmed. Yeah. Cool. I think that lamprey is okay. Lamprey, A-okay. Next thing we want to do is grab some space flotsam so we can put in some background on these guys, and then we'll see if there's anything else that we want to do. Let's see. Where can we go fetch? This is a good one. Duplicate this layer. Let's do like that. And now we can put a mask layer on that. Not bad. smudge all this in. So I actually want I want a lot of lighting behind this little arrow craft because it's really tiny. Oof, my hunger pains are kicking in. That's a good sign that the sensation of hunger is a chemical in your stomach called ghrelin. And what it basically is, it's a chemical gear shift, like a stick shift in a car, switching from one gear to another to have a different type of drive. So the feeling of hunger is the chemical ghrelin kicking in with the intent of pulling energy from fat in your body. So whenever you're hungry, it's an indication that your body is seeking new resources for it to sustain itself. So if you're attempting to lose weight or maintain weight, you want to have fits of hunger. So while your ghrelin is active, your insulin is not. And turning off insulin is the best way for you to fight late age dementia or Alzheimer's, also now being called stage 3 diabetes. So starving yourself on purpose occasionally is the best way for you to prevent dementia, apparently, is what doctors are starting to say. It also means that you have to decouple yourself from sugar, which is something that I have an incredibly difficult time with. But it's part of my struggle. So I'm happy to put in the work. But I am just noticing that my ghrelin is kicking in. So I'm going to probably go I'm probably going to go for a walk to catch some food today at lunchtime. There's a sushi buffet that is nearby my apartment here in Seattle that pretty damn good food. I'm really sad about this bubble here crossing into those words, so I'm probably going to have to clip that, and that's going to break some of the illusion here that we're creating about the clouds spilling into the background. So I haven't quite resolved that yet. I'm just working on these clouds here for now, because it's what I can control. And we'll figure out this bubble when we get there. So when I'm designing the background ideas of this, it's a game. So there's a grid, there's a map grid that exists in space when you're conducting combat between ships or you're exploring. It's just the sense of scale will change depending on what you're doing. If you're engaging in ship combat, it's going to be anywhere from a 5-foot
50-foot or 500-foot space that that your ships are occupying on the grid, depending on how close they are to each other during battle. And so, and if you're exploring, then it could be anything from 5 feet to 100 million miles per square. Anything large, you can only travel 100 million miles per 24 hours. So if you're doing overland, or like if you're doing like long-term exploration, like over the course of days or weeks, then you can have your grid scale at 100 million miles and have your ship move 1 square per day, and then zoom into another map. And that's a smaller scale. If you want to explore a moon that's like 8,000 miles across, then you probably want to have like a 1,000 mile square grid that you're working on to represent traversing the space on that moon that you're exploring. And your ships can move up to 10,000 miles per 6 seconds, or 100,000 miles per hour. Per minute, 100 million miles per minute, and 100,000 miles per minute is accurate there, which is like 200,000 kilometers per minute, roughly. I know that's not exactly how kilometers to miles breaks down, but it's not actually 100,000 miles per minute either. That's a rough approximation using easy round numbers divisible by 10. So the style of the way that the campaign, or the way that Spelljammer works, is that there's your local space they call wild space, which is the darkness, like the cloud, like the black of night and stars and stuff that surround the planets and moons that occupy the system that your home world is in. But once you get beyond the solar sphere that protects your crystal sphere, your system that protects your system from the greater multiverse, it spills out from local wild space into the astral sea. And the astral sea is the astral plane, which is basically like an infinite plane of silver and color wash effects. So when I'm depicting these ships, I'm doing this cloud effect, because it's fantasy space. It doesn't need to be solid black throughout the entire, but I can have all these interesting little clouds and atmospheric effects that the ships are diving through, which allows me to use that aesthetic of bleeding from wild space into the astral sea to allow me to create these negative spaces that help. Like, for example, this ballista can stand out more because I have this cloud that's flowing across where the ship is. So it adds a lot of narrative depth and interest to here, instead of just a blank field of black, or ships hanging in a space of just like this here. I could put a grid here, and that would just be a blank grid map, like on a tabletop. But by adding in this swirling space effect as a backdrop, it sort of just provides this narrative feel that, regardless of how you're depicting it on your tabletop or virtual tabletop with a map or whatever, you still have the flavor of space floating, of ships floating and flying through space like this. Hopefully that's making sense. Do some light smudge just to blend this in lightly. Nice. I'm gonna hit save real quick, just to make sure anything weird happens, so I don't have to worry about it. Oof, look at all these flaws. That's fantastic. So once we finish working on the clouds here, we can come back through and we can do cleanup along these edges here. How sloppy that is. I can fix all that. I can fix it. Hey, all right. That means we only have, it's 7:50 here, and I have to switch gears in a few minutes. So I'm just gonna play this out a touch, and I'm probably gonna do cleanup on my own. I'm gonna finish this cloud effect. So this is Friday, so I won't be working. I'll continue working on Spelljammer art like this. Next on Monday, we'll be working on this and continuing. Like we'll build out our ballista turrets here and our mounted weapons along the edges here, and then we'll colorize this. We'll see. I suspect I'm going to get a lot of this done over the weekend. Just the boring technical bits, and then come back to the highlights of putting in characters that are attacking each other. Like this is like we'll have crew here and here, like throwing spells at each other and attacking each other, and you have crew around here running around. But we're not quite there yet. So I'm gonna finish out this piece. Tomorrow, in about 25 hours from now, tomorrow morning, we're going to work on the Reclamant book cover, the commission piece that I got hired on to produce, and that'll be that's a Bob Ross style landscape painting that we'll do. That's tomorrow morning. On Monday, we'll be back doing again more Spelljammer art like this in the morning, and then Monday night we're going to do Eberron cartography, making maps for Eberron. Monday evening, and then Monday through Friday in the morning we'll just continue Spelljammer art. On Tuesday we'll be back at lunchtime as well. Tuesday morning Spelljammer art, Tuesday lunchtime the martial powers technical document developments as we build mechanics for martial magic, which we were talking about earlier today. And yeah, and then we'll just keep doing this until the project's done, basically. So I'm going to go ahead and neat. And of course, this will be a PDF, so you can zoom in and check these guys out as much as you want. Hey, guy. Though this is probably a realistic, size for reading. So the level of detail here is fine for the depth of reading that we would normally have. But you can, of course, deep dive into take a really close look at this or just look at the full page. But this is the kind of art that we're producing. So I'm going to hit save. I'm done for now. I have a Twitter at Phil Kearney, link down below. I have a Patreon at Phil Kearney. If you want to support my work and just encourage me as a tip, you can throw me $1 if you want or more. I have a slew of books for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition that are published on the DMsGuild that are already listed down below. I'll eventually start doing Kickstarters. Probably in 2025 is when I'm going to start doing independent projects, like publishing for myself. And yeah, so if you know where I hang out on Discord, be welcome to shout out to me, say hey. Otherwise, I'll hopefully see everybody here tomorrow morning for the Reclamant artwork that we'll build for our commission project. So Thanks a lot for being here. Done for the day.